Have you ever prayed, waited, and looked around only to feel like nothing was changing? The silence can be unsettling. You keep believing, yet the answers seem distant and progress feels invisible. But what if the quiet season you are in is not empty at all? What if God is actively working in ways your eyes cannot yet recognize? Today on Prayer Decode, we are stepping into that question together as we explore how to trust God even when life appears still. If messages like this speak to your heart and help strengthen your daily walk with God, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Prayer Decode and join our growing community seeking peace, faith, and encouragement through prayer. Have you ever prayed for something with your whole heart and then waited, and nothing seemed to change? No sign, no answer, no movement, just silence. If you have been there, you are not alone. Many people who love God deeply have walked through seasons where heaven felt quiet and progress felt invisible. It can be one of the most confusing experiences in faith, because we are told God is faithful, God is present, God is working, yet sometimes our circumstances look exactly the same. And the question quietly forms inside us. God, are you doing anything at all? Today, I want to talk to the part of you that is tired of waiting. The part of you that keeps showing up in prayer but secretly wonders if anything is happening behind the scenes. Because the truth is, some of God's most important work is invisible while it is happening. Let that settle for a moment. We live in a world that values visible progress. We want measurable results, clear feedback, quick confirmation. When we plant something, we expect to see growth above the soil. But anyone who has ever gardened knows that the most critical stage happens underground. Roots form first. Strength develops where no one can see it. And in many ways, faith grows the same way. There are seasons when God is not changing your environment yet because He is strengthening your roots within it. You may be praying for resolution while God is building resilience. You may be asking for escape while God is forming endurance. That does not mean your prayer is ignored. It means your prayer is being answered at a deeper level than you expected. Think about moments in your life where growth happened quietly, times when you did not notice change day by day, but later you realized you were thinking differently, reacting differently, trusting differently. Growth often whispers before it speaks loudly. And sometimes, God's work in your life looks like subtle shifts rather than dramatic breakthroughs, a calmer response where there used to be panic, a gentler heart where there used to be anger, a quiet hope where there used to be fear. These are not small things, they are evidence. But because they are internal, we often overlook them. There is another reason waiting seasons feel so heavy. They expose our desire for control. When we can influence outcomes, we feel secure. When outcomes rest beyond our reach, anxiety creeps in. Waiting reveals where we place our confidence. Do we trust only when we can see movement? Or can we trust the character of God even in stillness? That is not an easy question. Trust without evidence feels vulnerable. It requires surrendering timelines, expectations, and sometimes even understanding. But here is a comforting truth. God's silence is not God's absence. Silence can mean preparation. Silence can mean alignment. Silence can mean protection from something you cannot yet see. Many doors that did not open immediately later revealed themselves as closed for good reason. Many delays later became redirections that preserved peace, but in the moment, delay rarely feels purposeful. It feels frustrating. So what do you do when you cannot see God working? You practice remembering. Remember past faithfulness. Remember answered prayers. Remember doors that opened unexpectedly. Remember strength that appeared when you thought you had none left. Memory fuels trust, because if God has been present before, there is reason to believe He is present now, even if the current chapter feels unclear. Right now, take a breath and think of one moment where things eventually worked out in a way you could not have predicted. Hold that memory gently. That memory is evidence that unseen work happens. Another important realization is this: God's work is not limited to changing circumstances. Often, His primary work is shaping people, and you are one of those people. While you are waiting for external change, internal transformation may be unfolding, patience expanding, compassion deepening, perspective widening. You may be becoming someone capable of carrying the very blessing you are asking for, because sometimes the delay is not about withholding good things, it is about preparing your heart to receive them without losing yourself in the process. That preparation matters. Consider how different your life might be if certain answers had come before you were emotionally or spiritually ready. Some prayers are answered later because later is safer for your soul. This does not make waiting easy, but it gives waiting meaning. Meaning changes how we endure time. Instead of seeing waiting as empty space, we begin seeing it as sacred space. A space where trust matures, identity stabilizes, and dependence on God becomes less theoretical and more personal. There is also comfort in knowing that unseen work is still real work. You cannot see the formation of a child in the womb day by day, yet life is developing continuously. You cannot see muscles strengthening during rest days, yet growth occurs in recovery. You cannot see seeds breaking open underground, yet life is pushing upward. Invisible does not mean inactive, and just because your situation looks unchanged does not mean God has stopped moving. He may be arranging conversations you have not had yet, softening hearts you cannot influence, opening paths you cannot access today. Closing dangers you never notice. God's activity extends beyond your awareness. That realization can bring relief, because it means you do not have to monitor everything. You do not have to manage outcomes beyond your reach. Your role is not to control the unfolding. Your role is to remain open, faithful, and present. That might look like continuing to pray even when answers feel delayed, continuing to show kindness even when results feel small, continuing to trust even when clarity is incomplete. Faithfulness is not measured by visible success. It is measured by continued trust. If you feel comfortable, place your hand over your heart for a moment. Let this simple prayer form within you. God, even when I do not see movement, help me trust that you are working. Strengthen my patience, calm my questions, keep my heart open during the waiting. Sit with that for a moment. Sometimes the deepest spiritual growth happens in these quiet acknowledgments rather than dramatic declarations. As we move toward the close of this message, I want to speak gently to anyone who feels discouraged by how long something has taken. Time can create narratives in our minds. Maybe it will never happen. Maybe I missed my chance. Maybe God forgot me. But time is not a reliable interpreter of God's intentions. What feels long to you may be precise timing from a broader perspective you cannot yet see. And your story is not defined by how quickly things change. It is shaped by who you become along the way. So if today looks ordinary, repetitive, or unchanged, do not assume nothing is happening. Beneath the surface, growth may be unfolding in ways you will only recognize later. Faith often involves trusting the chapter you cannot read yet. And one day, you may look back at this very season and realize it was not empty at all. It was formative. It taught you to sit with uncertainty without collapsing. To pray without immediate feedback. To hope without guarantees. To trust without visible proof. That kind of faith is quiet but powerful. Before we finish, let me leave you with a simple reflection to carry into your day. The lesson is this: God's work is not always visible, but it is always intentional. Silence does not mean abandonment. Delay does not mean denial. Stillness does not mean inactivity. Sometimes the most profound movements of God occur beneath the surface of ordinary days. So keep showing up. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep living with gentle expectancy, because even when you see nothing, God is still working. And one day, what feels invisible now may become the testimony you share later. As we close this time together, remember that unseen does not mean unfinished. The same God who began a good work in you has not paused simply because you cannot see movement. Your prayers are heard, your waiting is meaningful, and your story is still unfolding beneath the surface. So as you move forward today, carry this quiet confidence with you. God is present in the silence, faithful in the waiting, and active even in ordinary moments. Thank you for spending this time with Prayer Decode. May you walk away with a calmer heart, renewed trust, and the gentle assurance that God is still working in your life.